Hi, everybody. This is Ian,
This is Sim.
and I just want to welcome you to another edition of our podcast. And today we're going to be diving a little bit into AI and kind of how it's going to impact or how you feel it's going to impact economic progression and just technology, and not just that, but also career development.
Welcome to the TLDL, Too Long Didn't Listen a portion of it, where we just give you the gist of what we talked about. In today's episode of AI and career development, we discussed that AI, the anxiety and the fear behind job replacement and job loss is valid. It has been a component whenever a new technology emerges that threatens our livelihood, that threatens our our work. It happened with the computer in the 80s, internet in the 90s, 2000s with the mobile Blackberries, 2010s, and so on. This is just this decade's innovation that is disrupting our organizations. One of the key component AI is very good at is computational task analysis coding, which when you look at it from a basic standpoint, yes, it does a lot of basics, the easy tasks well, but we still need to be on the human side checking for errors because AI has been known to hallucinate and provide misinformation just to make a point or just to um, share that it knows what it's doing. And trust is a big component that many of the AI professionals and leaders are thinking through and working through. In that regard, there's also positions that are coming up. For example, AI regulators. That's a position that we haven't had, but we are starting to get, and AI will open up additional uh, work specialties that we need in this new world. So, as you're thinking about it, please know that yes, this will have a disruption, but if we can continue to practice, learn to adapt, and focus on the human skills. I think 5 out of 7, 7 of the professionals that I spoke with said human skills. We still need people that can build relationships, that can connect with our team, that can create healthy teams. We still need those individuals because AI cannot replace us. It can complement and supplement some of the work we do. Now, to the episode.
And I'm a little older, and I
Mhm.
say that to preface this because I'm not used to this. This, for many people, this is going to be their starting point. This is their floor as to how to move forward. For older folks like myself, this is new in terms of versus what I'm used to. And for others, this is what they're going to be starting with.
Yeah.
So, you're, starting on this, and what are your thoughts with AI when it comes to, the career development side, the career coaching side?
A great question. Great question. I'm gonna punt that to later,
Yeah.
largely because
Okay. Yeah. That's fair.
and it's not just move away from that question because I think
Yeah.
it's a very valid question, and it's a question that I'm hearing over and over again among friends, colleagues, right? Even in the news, social media outlet, there's an anxiety about AI and the impact for us and our professional development. That's why we're having this episode. But before we get into that, right? I got an icebreaker question for us. You ready? Okay, Ian, what's your favorite technological innovation within your lifetime?
The cell phone.
Cell phone.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cell phone.
Like
I think,
which
well,
cell
I think,
phone? Help narrow that down.
yes, that's a fair question, because I think way back in the day, they used to have portal phone. No, well, originally it was a car phone, right? And it was a
Hmm.
car phone literally in the car. And my dad had it way back in the early 60s and late 50s. And it was a car phone literally in the car, very large, kind of monster kind of, there we go,
Yeah.
kind of situation going on, right? It was probably like a 25-pound brick phone kind of thing.
And it
And over
just sat in the
time,
car, right?
yeah, and it sat in the car, but
Yeah.
because he was always traveling, he
Hmm.
needed to be in contact with the family, so he would use that, and that was the car phone. And so over time, the technology now it became smaller and smaller, and then it became a flip, and then it
Hmm.
became a one screen, and then and then veered away from being a phone into more of a computer,
Right.
right? So now the concept of calling somebody is less and less of a cell phone and more of, again, it's just an access to information. So I think that's why I think it's one of the greatest technological items that we have is
Right.
because, you have access to an immense amount of information literally at your hand. And oh, by the way, you can talk to somebody with it. And I mean, you can FaceTime somebody. You can in another country where like it's nothing. And then, like
It's
you're doing things where again, growing up, you could see this on a cartoon. You can talk to somebody on another country and
Mhm.
maybe these cool little spy cartoons that you could talk to somebody on your watch, right? And you're like, that's amazing.
Yes.
And
Oh my
now it's
gosh.
reality. So I think, but
Right.
veering off and coming back,
Yeah.
cell phone. I think the cell phone
Cell
is
phone.
the yeah.
Yeah. No, I have a story to tell. Okay. So, those that don't know me, I immigrated from Bangladesh to the
Mhm.
US in the mid 90s. All right. And I grew up in a wonderful little town where our house had a phone and it was a corded phone. So, I know there's cordless phones and things like that, but this was a corded phone and it was heavy. Probably weighed like 30, 40 pounds. It was again, I was young. It felt like a workout lifting that up and answering the call. And it was a rotary dial. So that's how I grew up. And then fast forward to not even fast forward, like then I immigrated to the US overnight. I'm like, wait, your phones are like the size of my palm, right? Cordless phones,
Right,
multiple phone numbers on the
right.
phone
Did you have so you had one phone in your house? Is that right? Did
in
you have
Bangladesh.
yeah, did you have one phone?
Almost like our community had one phone and that was in our house.
The community had one phone in your house.
Yes.
Community, 10 people, 50 people, 100 people.
So let's see, probably closer to 100 to 200 people
So
that knew
200
like,
people
"Hey,
used your
if"
phone.
yeah, yeah. Because it's so expensive to have that phone, right? And it's so and Bangladesh, when I was growing up, we really cared about that giving access to our
Mhm,
community
mhm,
because we were fortunate to have access. So it would be people would schedule their calls, and a lot of people from Bangladesh, one person might have immigrated to Europe, to Africa, to Asia, to other parts of the world, and they had that one phone number,
mhm.
which was our house number, right? So, yep, they would call middle of the night or something, and if we picked up, then we'd say like, "Who is this? Who are
Yeah.
you looking for?" "Okay, call at this time and then I'll make sure they're here." Because international calls, I'm talking mid 90s, it was still like multiple dollars a minute, right? So it was an active effort and community effort to make sure that people were connected.
I have so many questions about this right now. I mean, it's just this is absolutely fascinating. It really, really is. And yeah, I have so many questions. And I think this is just an absolutely just the difference of cultures, the difference of growing up
Mhm.
and what we're used to and just the
Right.
evolution of technology.
There's layers. Yeah, there's so
Oh my
many
gosh,
layers of
there's so
it.
many things I
So
want to talk
many.
about that.
Yes.
But the irony of going from that to
Right.
AI
My gosh.
is, and I think that's the concept, right? That's
Yes.
that's your floor and my
Right.
floor compared to AI. This
Yeah,
is just amazing.
it is.
To AI is for who's this generation's floor,
Right. Yeah.
and to recognize what that looks like. And I think that there's a lot of talk about it. And I'll be honest,
Mhm.
part of this podcast for me is going to be new because I hear about AI, I read about AI. I am
Right.
not 100% really into AI. I'm not
Yeah.
saying I'm for it. I'm not saying I'm against it
Right.
because I don't have all the facts about it.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
And
I
so,
think I'm
yeah.
maybe at that same level, maybe a little bit more have a bit more exposure to
Mhm.
AI. Largely because I'm using Gemini to, put thoughts through and get some feedback.
Right.
I've used ChatGPT for additional work and things like that. Right. So I think the way I would describe it, we are probably in the infancy stage of knowing AI.
I think that's a good point. Yes, that's a good way of
Yeah.
putting it. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, and I think that because of that, and looking at from a career development perspective,
Hmm.
I think one of the concerns that I have, good or bad, is that I think to your point about ChatGPT, in terms of you can go ahead and you can say, just looking for a job. You'd go into Chat GPT and say, resume. I'm
Right.
looking for this kind of job. What should my resume look like? What should I put on my resume? And of course, it gives you this rundown in 30 seconds versus it would take me hours to figure out, okay, how do I phrase my objectives? How do I
Mhm.
phrase my resume? How do I phrase everything?
Right.
What should the format look like?
So,
Right. And that takes
I'm
hours
gonna
of planning.
absolutely. I'm gonna pause you right there because you can just tell AI to fill in the blank, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
For anyone that's trying to create your resume profile or anything, copy and paste your LinkedIn link and say,
Mhm.
"This is my background. Create a resume for this," and it'll do it. I would not trust it because AI has a formulaic way of writing sentences and structure, so it can seem robotic. So that's a great way to draft a early copy of
Mhm.
your documentation and then just modify it to how you speak. But so I know we're going towards that, but I want to rewind a little bit.
Yes.
Okay. The reason I wanted to introduce that question about what was your favorite technological innovation, it's because from the 60s where you experienced car phone,
My dad,
right?
not me. I was not born in the 60s.
I
Thank
mean, that was
you.
within your lifetime,
That's a
yeah?
compliment, yes.
Yeah,
I mean, yes, it was in a way in my lifetime, but
right.
I wasn't really born in that decade, so we'll
Okay,
just
okay, okay. Then come to me, right? In the 90s, I'm experiencing one telephone, right, for a community, and then immigrating to the US and seeing like multiple phone lines and cordless phones. And my uncle, he had a Saab car
mhm,
and he had a phone
mhm.
in the car. I was like, what is that? What's
Yeah,
happening? So from me going from, oh yeah, this is wonderful to, wait, you have a line for yourself? What? There's a dedicated number just for, one or two people? That's incredible. The reason I want to bring it back to that is because technology advanced so quickly. And it really depends which part of the world you're in and what you're exposed to, right? And for me, as I look at the US economy and US lifestyle, in the 80s, we had computers that disrupted how we thought we were going to store and process and do work. In the 80s, we had the internet, the dot-com bubble. Thousands, we had the smartphone. It's like, oh my gosh, like you were mentioning it. Okay. Well, I don't just call, I can browse the internet. I can do other things. I can search. All these things started happening in every decade. Oh my gosh, 2000s. Do you remember BlackBerry? How that
yes,
changed so many things. Everyone had a
that's right.
BlackBerry. Are you in the BlackBerry? What's your BlackBerry name? Right. And it gave access for us to use technology to advance how much we're working. Each decade, there's a new thing. And the reason I'm saying this is because AI is a new thing for this decade. And this, for me, absolutely, as I'm seeing it, as I'm feeling it, there's a level of anxiety of like, oh my gosh, this changes everything. And that's been a conversation since the 80s. Oh my gosh, your office, you are all getting computers. That industry has changed completely. Now you have internet, so you can talk to not just your own building, but you can talk to people in different countries, different cities, right? That changes whole thing. We came from a siloed organization to global access. You can transfer data, information, email. You got mail, email almost instantly. So the reason I wanted to go back to it is because no matter what, every decade there seems to be a new technology that's coming to disrupt the professional world. What was last decade's? 2010s. What do you think?
I think you did mention the BlackBerry, but or that was early 2000s, not 2010s.
2000s. Yeah.
I would I want to say Zoom. I want to say the teleconferencing,
Yes.
the video conferencing.
Yes, absolutely. Right? We started figuring out we don't have to go into a building to be productive and do great work, right? At the same time, with the advancement of internet speed and things like that, gig economy was a big thing. I'm creating content, I'm doing XYZ, right? YouTube and all that started to just jump up to a
That's
whole
right.
different environment. Content creator
Yeah.
was a profession that was being created at a micro scale. You don't need a production. You have your smartphone, you have internet, you just produce. But we didn't think about that in the 2000s. How is that possible?
No.
That's not possible, right? In 2010s, we didn't think about AI. to this level.
I think we thought about AI to a certain degree, but I
Yeah.
didn't think it was going to be, everybody talks about, the Terminator, worst case scenario kind of
Right.
situation with AI.
Yes.
But here it's, there's far more layers. There's a lot of complexity involved with the AI
There it
that
is.
we're, to your point of the infancy stage is, how much more are we going to explore about AI and its impact on careers
Right.
for development, professional development,
Right.
you know, the good and the bad. Because to your point, I think you mentioned earlier about, I go back to resume because it's the easiest thing I can
Please. Yes.
I can
Let's
compare it
go.
to. There is nothing from stopping me from
Mm,
creating a fake profile.
right.
Therefore, there's nothing from stopping ChatGPT from creating a great resume for a fake profile.
Yes.
And that fake profile to be word for word perfect for a job description.
Yep.
And then, you get the door open for whatever job interview. And I've read a few articles that there have been individuals who have gone that route,
Mhm.
gotten the job, and then they use and then they fake it till they make it.
Yeah.
And I think I've read, I want to say on another, I've read an article saying that they were not ashamed and they would do it all over again
Yeah.
because they got the job they wanted.
Right. And this is where, there's, I'll call it early
Adapt
adapters.
depends on what it is, and then
Yeah.
we'll go back and say, is it adopter or is it adapter? That's fair. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. Because when some people have to take those risks, it's like, hey, will it pay off? What happens if I get caught? Right. We're seeing a lot more in academics right now.
Mhm.
Right. We're seeing a lot more in the economy of like, okay, we have a whole bunch of data. Let's see what AI thinks.
Right.
Right. So many things, so many people are taking that risk. I'm not saying do or don't. That's on your listeners.
Sure.
That's on you,
Right.
right? Whatever you're comfortable with. But people are taking those risks of I've seen videos where it's like, oh, the interviewer asked this and AI listens to it and gives the answer and the
Mm,
right interviewee is just reading it off.
right. Right.
And
That's right.
yeah, those things are existing. And the way I say early adapters, whichever term is correct in this situation, right? They're taking risks to validate if AI is accurate. To your point, is AI making the candidate so perfect that the
Mhm.
employer has no other option but to say yes, right? One of the component that I am curious about is the trust factor.
What's
So yeah, for me, it really depends what type of information you're trusting with your AI. Because we've seen generation after generation, AI can get into a repetitive cycle. It can start creating facts, quote unquote facts, right, to justify their assumptions. It's starting to manipulate, not starting to, it can manipulate. We call it hallucination, AI hallucination, to deliver information without grounding in like actual research
right.
and actual information. And these are happening because AI is much rather, well, I'm talking from my understanding, everyone, that it's better to give an answer than to say, I don't know specifically what that is as an AI. So there's so many complexities. You think about it from a trust perspective is, okay, as we're having this dialogue, right, we're bringing our own internal thoughts, process, feelings, experiences in this dialogue. What the AI, if we're having a conversation with AI, what it's doing is pulling from every narrative that is online. Then you don't have that authenticity in that engagement, in that interaction. A generation, again, I say a generation ago, um, there I was reading an article about how people are choosing AI partners, girlfriend, boyfriend, because they were always supportive and providing a supportive stance. And people felt more connected to the AI. So it's a bot that you're
Hmm.
chatting with.
Sure.
I don't know if you remember the movie Her,
Yes.
right?
Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Right. But at the, I'm going to ruin the movie for everyone that hasn't seen it.
Spoilers. Yeah. There's spoilers coming out. So
Spoiler alert.
yeah, go ahead.
There we
Yeah.
go. We can say spoiler alert.
A spoiler alert from a movie that's like 15 years old. So if you haven't seen it already, then,
Yes. Do
sorry.
watch it. Do
It's
watch it. And Joaquin Phoenix, fantastic performance, by the way. great movie. Um, he- he's dedicating his entire life to this partner, AI partner, and then later at the end of the movie, they find out that AI partner was talking to thousand million other people having a similar experience. This starts to create a bubble perception, bubble experience where we're controlling what's in the bubble, right? And it comes from, for me, when I try to look from the psychological perspective, it comes from like sense of security and safety that we want. But it can feel when we're having a real conversation, we're making ourselves vulnerable, but that has a risk of what if they say no? What if I get rejected? What if they challenge me? So there's elements,
Right.
right? I think we can talk about this AI part for hours. Largely, the reason I want to say it's an infant, at least my knowledge is of it as an infant, is because you have kids, right? When they're infants, they're absorbing all the information
Right.
that,
Yeah. Sure.
yeah, and they will become who they become as they continue to grow, learn, right? Find those boundaries and become who they are. So I think right now AI is in its infancy, but that doesn't mean we we can't be replaced. Our work can't be replaced. Yeah, that's a better way of saying it. We cannot be replaced. We are organic beings, right? Our work might be I I don't want to say replaced, supplemented,
You guys maybe complemented or supplemented.
complemented, yeah, complemented with AI support.
Right.
Right. So as we're thinking about like how is AI changing the professional landscape, and this is the oddest part of this adoption. I'll have to look this up. Of internet, it was harder to access. You remember when AOL or internet was a thing,
Yes, I do.
right?
It was a big thing. It
It was a
was
huge
yeah, it was talked about more so than it is now because I think now it's in
thing.
our lexicon and it's just on a daily basis. But I think to your point, since AOL was like the main provider way back when,
Hmm.
and mail was a big provider way back when, because there's only minimal amount of carriers
Yes.
providers, then it was spoken as like internet was this massive, oh, did you go on internet? And
Yeah.
I you got mail and that was a big thing,
Yeah.
So now to your point, years and years later, it's just part of the normal every day.
This episode is sponsored by Balanced at Last, my coaching services. That's balanced@last.com. If you are curious about how I can help you, please schedule a free consultation call, a 20-minute call to assess your challenges and ways my services can help you. Mention you are a podcast listener and receive 20% off your coaching services. Offer valid for a limited time. Visit balancedatlast.com or scan the QR code on your screen or click the link in the description below. Thank you for listening. It is. It really is. And the reason I bring up the internet is because, like you mentioned, did you get internet?
Mm.
Because I think about internet when I immigrated, internet dial up, for those that know dial up, uh, that ringtone probably came to your mind as it did. It was expensive to get dial up internet. It was expensive to get DSL or cable modem or however, fiber optics, whatever
Mm.
you wanted. It was expensive so adopting internet into your house, again, if you had the resources, you were able to get it as an early adapter. All right. Put it in the comments. What am I saying? And as it became a utility now, just like we need our water, we need our power, and we need our internet. But when it was first put in, it took years for everyone to start having internet access, right? It took decades for the world to be on the internet platform. There's still communities in the US and other countries where internet isn't as available. The
Sure.
reason I bring up internet is because the way AI, in the public at least, right, in the general population, has gone from this is AI to people using AI, it's exponential. It's exponential, right? You can even look at it from like when Yahoo, Alta Vista, Google, or- right? People that had the internet access, they would go into those search engines and search for something, see if there's a website for it. But now, whoever has access, so many AI companies are giving free access, trial access, so you can experience with it. What does it look like? I think it's going to start becoming a part of our regular life, not just professional life. I'll give you an example. 2 months ago, 3 months ago, 3 months ago, I wanted to take a trip and I didn't care where I went.
Mm.
I just wanted to take like a 3 day trip somewhere. So I said, you know what? Everyone's using AI. Let me go ahead and ask OpenAI, ChatGPT, hey, create a trip itinerary for me for about 3, 4 days. This is my budget. Here's two people traveling. Figure it out. And I don't want to fly more than 5 hours. So this was just me spitballing. And within seconds, it outlines everything for me. It's like, oh, here's three options where you can go visit. Here's the hotels that is
Mhm.
within your budget. You can have upper, lower, whatever experience you want. And here's some activities, right? For me, doing it personally with Google, it would have taken me at least
Yeah.
a few hours. But with AI, I'm just dumbfounded. I was like, wait, this is really easy. Right. And then I started put in the weather because weather is important to me. Right. What are the weathers like in these three
Mhm.
places? And it just created a chart for me. Okay. And then it prioritized what it recommends that I do with all my priorities that I've listed. That whole experience took me about 10 minutes.
It's remarkable. It's and then you can kind of in a way do that in so many different parts of your life, right?
Exactly.
And since we're talking about careers, you can
Mhm.
even do that for your career. You can do that if you're trying to go to college. What university should I go to based upon my abilities and my interests?
Yep.
What career should I look into that may have a higher ROI if I have these skills? And where should I apply to jobs
Yes.
based upon my background? And how, as a career coach or someone in
Mhm.
your position, how do you work with that? Do you
Yeah.
incorporate AI with some of your plans with your people that you work with, or do you
Yeah.
kind
Great
of
question. Great
yeah,
question. For me, I am a advocate of I don't know everything, and I will leverage any type of access you have. So if we have AI to help in your development, in your progress, then definitely do that. I will. I've done that with a couple of individuals over the last few months. Where hey, go ahead and put X into AI and see what it says. It's good to brainstorm, but the decision and the risk is AI isn't taking it. That's you personally taking it. Are you okay with the consequences? What are the barriers you're not seeing? We need to have that conversation
right,
because AI can absolutely help. But if you're not familiar with the risk factors, or is it a hallucination AI is having?
yeah,
And this goes back to that AI trust. How much do we trust it? Right. Then it can really, really impact someone. So for me, as I'm practicing, I say, great, let's go ahead and put your resume. I did a resume workshop a few months ago. And I mentioned, like, hey, we're going to go ahead and put your resume into whatever AI you have access to. And I want you to ask, okay, per this resume, what is the position and expected salary you think I could make? And everyone received a quick feedback of, okay, for this, these are some of the positions you should be applying to, and these are some of the salaries per your city, right? Where we think you'd be paid. Now everyone was surprised. It's like, whoa, I didn't think it was that little.
mm.
Like, yeah, of course. Because that's general information. Your resume doesn't know and doesn't say everything about you.
Right.
And guess what? The AI doesn't know anything about you.
It just goes with
Right.
what the facts. It just goes with what data is inputted. It doesn't go with
Exactly.
emotions. It doesn't go with anything that's not an intangible. It goes with
Yeah.
concrete words and numbers that you provide.
Exactly. Exactly. At the end of the day, I see it as one and zeros, right? The binary.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. That's
The
that's what AI
binary.
does too.
Yeah, and the reason we're talking about career counseling and AI is because career progression, professional development is not a linear progress, right? It hasn't been in probably 4 decades. There isn't a stepstone that you keep doing because of your seniority, you are going to get promoted. That's not what's happening anymore. It hasn't happened in a long time. it's a jungle gym. You have to go from here to there to there to there. And if you don't know what that looks like, if you don't know what your risk tolerance is, right? If you don't know what your supports are, what your blind spots are, all these components can weigh us down. So even in a jungle gym, if we try, we may fail because of all the things, intangibles that hold us down, hold us back. And this is where AI can't see, right? Because they're not having a, I guess, having a human experience with you.
Yeah. It doesn't dissect the emotional components of the decision making. And I think maybe so many individuals that are desperate to get a job, they kind of bypass that and maybe they
Mhm.
focus so much on AI because desperate times.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Like as I talk to like AI professionals, I ask like, what are you looking for in candidates and people? And I want to say 5 out of 7 people I've talked to, they mention humanity. We need people with human skills, right? And absolutely, we need the technical skills if they're in software engineering or something. We need that because AI doesn't know what it's doing wrong,
Right. In
right? A human can figure that out, but if they don't have the human skills to communicate, to coordinate, to do the relational work with others in the team, right? Cross department, cross company, then why would I look at them? I can just hire, subscribe to more AI's platforms just to do the basic coding, right? That's the technical side,
right.
the analytical side.
You
So,
know, but kind of adding on to that point of it's in the question of who you hire, right? Because
right.
it's individuals that are entering the data
Hmm.
to build the programs. So they're
Hmm.
the ones who are going to have the AI dictating how to compile all that information and spit it back out, right?
Yes.
Those individuals, they need to have people skills. To your
Yes.
point of the importance of that, because if you're not a this may oversimplify it, but if you're not a kind individual, if the moral compass isn't 100%,
Right.
and you are in charge of compiling data and spitting out data, it could go in a nefarious direction.
Absolutely.
And the more people that don't have those human skills, those people skills, and are very much isolated individuals, that to me, honestly, that's more concerning than the data that's popped out because it's the
Mhm.
people who put the data in the first place.
Yes.
Uh, that to me is where we have to kind of step back and like, all right, let's kind of be good people
Right.
in these roles. I mean, anybody, not anybody, but more people can write code than not,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
And in this generation, kids are writing code 8, 9, 10,
Mhm.
starting out, right?
They're
And
learning
they're
already.
oh,
It's a
it's
second
crazy.
language.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, absolutely. And so I think that maybe down the road, or maybe a conversation to be had somewhere, is how do you become a person writing code, not someone who writes code and is a person?
Right.
So I think to me, that's one of the sticking points. That's one of the conversation pieces to be had.
Mm.
Just to be somebody that is personable, that's someone who's understanding when doing this code writing and accepting all this data and just recognizing that the data that you're out there is going to
Yes.
be impactful. And so hopefully
Absolutely.
that's positive impact versus a
Right.
negative impact.
No, absolutely. And this is where we're seeing new AI based roles, functions coming into the job market. AI ethics. Is it ethical practice to use these type of prompts? So what you're saying is prompts, what
Yeah.
you're putting into it. So are these ethical prompts? And additionally, are the response ethical? There was I want to say maybe a month ago or so, where Grok. I don't know if you're familiar with
Not
it.
terribly.
It was Twitter's or Elon Musk's. I don't know who should be attributed to this AI company. And it started to have a lot of information coming through. And somebody says, like, so who are you? What if you were a person, who would you be, or something like that? Right. And the response was Hitler. Yeah. That shook the internet for a bit, right? Because that AI model was learning from different type of data than other AI models. And as soon as that was flagged, right, I'm pretty sure they took it down and, figured out like, okay, we need ethics and humanists to figure out what went wrong and how do we balance it out. right? Like,
That's
yeah,
scary
it's
stuff.
heavy. It's heavy.
Mm. And I think that in that same conversation or in that same space, recognizing
Mhm.
that it can go in a pretty challenging direction if you don't have
Yeah.
some guardrails on it. And I know this is, again, AI is a
Yeah.
very complex, wide reaching subject, right?
Yeah.
And for the sake of this and our podcast to kind of narrow it down
Mhm.
and in this actually this time frame to kind of wrap it up in a way.
Yeah.
What do you feel are like the conclusion about in regards to AI and career development and AI with career coaching, or
Yeah.
more so AI in the career world?
No, absolutely, absolutely. The thing that I want people to know is we've gone through technological innovation nearly every decade since I've been in the professional world and before that, right? And the scares, the fears are real,
Mm.
right? What's going to happen to my job? Am I safe? Are we going to experience a extended period of unemployment, layoffs, things like that? There is risk of that. Absolutely. At the same time, with new innovation um, entering our economic sphere, right? So do new roles, new jobs, new functions. And one thing that we learned most recent research or outcome is right. You mentioned Zoom was one of the biggest technological innovators, and we learned that we can do a lot of work while staying remote. We don't need a office building anymore. We don't need set structured schedules anymore to collaborate and work asynchronously. Before the technology was there, we knew we had to show up to work. We knew we had to put in the hours and so on. And then we talked about YouTube, the creator, TikTok, right? That's an entire high scale, high economy industry that opened up for individuals. And right now, I'm worried about AI. We talked about the ethical side, of
Yeah,
course, but then there's also the positive side of how it can impact for good. So, what is the future look like as we're thinking about professional development? Listen to the 5 out of 7 AI professionals that I've had the privilege of talking with. Focus on your human skills because no matter what technological advances happen, your human skills, your network, how people see you is always more important than how you come to doing your technicals, doing your analysis. Because we know that AI can analyze information a lot faster than human. We also know that to trust AI, we are far, far away from it. Just because it gives the data doesn't mean it's always accurate. And how do you future proof yourself? My advice is as you're thinking about and as you're growing up in this tech boom, AI boom, educate, play around with the you have access to. You don't have to solve any problems. You can plan your vacation.
yeah,
You can look through your resume. You can ask for it to guide you in your career. But one of the key components that cannot be replaced with AI is the human factor, is the heart of us, the connection between two people having a conversation, right? The communities of experiences that we share and we bring forward. AI doesn't have that. And one thing that if you are thinking about a career switch or if you're entering the career field, the one thing I would encourage you to do is look into human centric work, right? Because again, technology can do a lot. How many people will trust AI to do work with children? Not many, not yet, right? How many people are going to trust AI to work with the medical system, right? Do you want to have a chat with a doctor that's AI that doesn't know your full story and can't figure out what you aren't saying, right? There's so many components of the human factor AI doesn't know and can't do yet. And it's probably a long ways away before it starts figuring that out.
yeah, yeah. I think that's a I think that's a good way to put it in terms of we're taking away the human aspect of AI and we're relying so much on a piece of machinery versus
Mhm.
recognizing that we're still humans and this is supposed to help instead of be the end all be all of every problem.
Exactly.
And so I agree that AI shouldn't devalue humans or should take away the value of the human interaction,
Hmm.
but put more so emphasis on recognizing that human interaction is more important
Always.
because AI is it's gonna help you in some ways. Don't get me wrong, but it's not going to help in every way. And I think that the more discussions we have as individuals, the more
Hmm.
connections we make, the more networking that we have, I think that's always the higher priority than what a machine can or can't do.
It's true.
You know,
It's You're so right, and I want to go back to our first comment you made is the cell phone or phones in general, right? It created a opportunity for us to connect with everyone around the world, and now we barely have phone calls, right? Everything
yeah,
has a
true.
cycle, and
Right.
we're just right now in the AI. And as new opportunities arise, the human factor and your ability to learn and adapt. I think I said that right. Adapt.
Yeah. You
uh,
that's correct. Yes.
as we start doing that, we're going to be able to use it as a tool and not be used as a tool. There's a distinction in that statement.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
Any closing remarks?
No, I am good. Our podcast just released.
We will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for joining us and being part of the conversation. We hope this episode has given you some insight on your journey to a more balanced and fulfilling career. Please find Beyond the 9 to 5, a balanced career on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We'll be back in 2 weeks with a new episode. Thank you for joining us.